Choosing to show only a portion of the video out of respect for the victim's family. At the start of the video, you can see the shooter setting up the camera, then showing his gun, before aiming it at the guard and pulling the trigger multiple times. The shooter has been identified as 21-year-old Jacob Grygorzyk. The man he shot and killed was 38-year-old John Cain.
He was a loving person. He's kind. He'll help you out if he can. And anything you need for your room, anything like that, he takes care of it. He's a very, very sweet person.
This man, who didn't want to be identified, was working with Cain when he was killed.
When you saw him laying there, what did you think?
I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. It could have been any one of us.
He says Cain was just finishing up his shift, getting ready to go home around midnight, when he responded to the noise complaint and was gunned down. His coworker says he did everything right and likely saved lives.
When we see something like that happen, we always supposed to say gun, 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 like any officer would say in the line of duty. That's to alert any other security guard around or anybody else in hotels that can hear that to come respond and aid that person, or to at least call 911. You know what I'm saying? So yes.
So he did that?
Yes, he did. And by the time he did that, the next door neighbors that was next door to that room actually heard it, and a bullet actually went through their wall. Seconds of killing her as she lay down in the bed.
Cain wasn't even supposed to be working, according to family and his coworker. He was filling in for his uncle, who wanted time off.
It's a loss we can't replace.
Murder recorded by the killer. The family says their son was assassinated in a cruel and sick video posted on Snapchat.
It happened in Wyoming early this morning at the Grand Rapids Inn on 28th Street. You can see the shooter setting up his phone to record and then pulling out a gun. We are only showing a portion of the recording out of respect for the victim's family.
That victim was working as a security guard at that hotel when he answered the noise complaint and was gunned down. Police say the shooter then took his own life minutes later at a home nearby.
Tonight, News 8's Heather Walker is speaking with the victim's family as they try to cope with this senseless killing. Heather?
Yeah, it is just awful. That victim has been identified as John Cain. He was 38 years old, a father, a friend, and someone who was always trying to help.
I'm still numb. I'm still in shock.
His mother is trying to pull through the pain. Just hours ago, right around midnight, she and John Cain Sr. were told their son was shot.
Trying to protect the place he worked. That was his job, and he was got killed doing that.
Minutes away from leaving for the day, he responded to a noise complaint that ended his life. He wasn't supposed to be working. He was filling in for his uncle, who wanted the day off, and ended up the victim of what appears to be some sick setup.
He knew what he was going to do from the start.
Yeah.
It was planned. It was motivated. Yeah. That was assassin. That's what he did. He assassinated my son.
Why the shooter was recording, we don't know. The video was taken down, but not before being shared on other social media platforms.
Now, we have to live that drama every single moment. When somebody says they see my son on live stream, they're like, that should never be.
His mother now staying offline to avoid seeing it. She and the rest of the family will remember John as the loving person he was, holding many titles: coach, chef, and friend, but most important, dad.
The doll houses, how he combed your hair.
In a few seconds, lives changed forever.
And this is what gun violence does. This precious baby is without her best friend, her daddy. For no reason. For no reason.
Wyoming Department of Public Safety. This is an update regarding the homicide that we had at 250 28th Street earlier this morning. And shortly after midnight, November 2nd, 2021, officers were in the area of Buchanan and 28th on an unrelated call. At that time, they heard shots being fired in the area of the Grand Rapids Inn. Shortly thereafter, as they were responding over to that, the sounds of shots fired, the dispatch center was providing an update that calls were coming in reference subject that had been shot at the hotel. At that point in time, officers located a deceased male who was determined to be the security guard for the hotel on the second floor balcony of the hotel. It was shortly after that officers received through dispatch again a call coming in from a nearby residence, coming from the parent of the determined suspect at that time, that she had found her son that had died of an apparent gunshot wound that was self-inflicted. Officers were able to link together the two suspects, the suspect and the victim, through the hotel records as well as witness statements at the scene.
What's their relationship?
I don't believe there was a relationship. The victim, like I said, was the security guard for the hotel, and he was responding to the room that was rented by the suspect because of some unruly behavior that was going on there, and he was going to address the problem.
Can you tell us more about that backstory, why the security guard was called to the room?
I don't know much about what had transpired throughout the day, but during the incident that he was addressing right now was just disorderly behavior. The suspect and another person were wandering around the hotel, and it just came to the attention of the hotel that they no longer wanted him there.
Lieutenant, in the past, that hotel's been used as a transition, out in and out for halfway. Was this suspect part of that program, or is he just a person that was renting on his own?
Nothing so far in our investigation links any of that together. It was a person that was renting a room just on his own.
Is that hotel still being used for that purpose, do you know?
I do not know that.
That's why in the past they've had security there.
Sure. A lot of hotels have security. That was nothing indicative at this point in time that this incident had any relation to any of their services that they would provide for reentry programs.
So the suspect was there renting a room and there was someone else with him in that room?
Not registered to the room, just was there with him, yes.
A friend of the suspect?
Yes.
Okay.
An acquaintance of some kind.
Okay. Is this suspect known to you? Have you had run-ins with this person before?
I'm not sure of his criminal record at this point in time.
So it sounds like this was just an unfortunate tragedy, that this security guard was just doing his job when it became his last day.
Absolutely very tragic for that. And yes, the security guard was just trying to protect their property, do what they wanted done for removing people that they didn't want at the hotel. And yes, it was very tragic.
Do you know why he was at the hotel when his mom was right there?
I do not.
You have problems to his hotel? You have history of problems in this hotel?
Nothing that would equate to this. All right, every hotel, could have the potential for it, but we do not run into, reoccurring problems such as this, like at that hotel.
And that's the difficulty with the situation, right? That the security guard didn't know what was on the other side of that door.
Correct.
Is the security guard armed?
No.
He didn't have any weapons whatsoever. Do you know how long the security guard worked at that inn?
I don't. That was a question that was posed earlier that we were trying to find out, but at this point in time, I do not know how long he had been there.
Did he shoot through the door?
No, it was all outside.
Oh.
At close range?
Yes.
Handgun?
I believe so.
Do you know how many shots were fired?
I don't. There was, as you are all aware, a posting that went out on Snapchat. We are aware of that. Our investigators are following up on every aspect of that to determine where that post came from. But in that, you could hear multiple shots.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that Snapchat. Can you talk about that?
There was a post that was put out that was shared through Snapchat, and I think eventually ended up on Facebook. That has since been taken down, but it did capture the incident. It didn't actually show the shooting. You could hear that in the background.
Okay, who made that post?
Not sure. Sure.
So are you saying that police are just still trying to contact that person, or I guess do you have a message to that person, or have you made contact?
Investigators are trying to contact them right now.
Is that the other guy that was there?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Somebody else just obviously you got to get it.
I don't know the route that it went through of how it got shared through Snapchat. I do not know the names or anything related to that.
How did the suspect's mother find him and where on her property?
The suspect went back to the house, and the mother had called us when she found her son deceased.
What would be his bedroom or?
Yes.
She heard gunshot.
No, she did not hear a gunshot. She just checked on him.
Do you know how long the security guard had worked there, and did he work directly for the hotel, or did he work for a security company?
I do not know. Again, that question was posed earlier about trying to determine how long he had worked there. We do not know at this point in time. We are trying to find out. But as far as working for the hotel, yes, I believe he worked for the hotel, not for security.
Are you looking into whether this was a gun that was registered to the suspect, or was it a gun that was registered to a family member of his?
I don't believe it would have been a gun registered to a family member of his. I do not know if the gun was registered to him at this point in time.
So you don't know.
That is something the investigators will determine. Absolutely.
What was the unruly part? I mean, you said running?
They were just in and out of the room, in and out of their hotel room, and there was some loud music coming from the hotel room. Yeah, that's the extent of what it was. So, anybody that has any more information related to this, we do ask that you call the investigators at the Wyoming Department of Public Safety, or if you would like to remain anonymous, you are more than welcome to contact Silent Observer. So, appreciate it.